Welcome back, everybody. This is Michael Levitas with Steven Zielinski, a personal injury attorney. As you know, here we bring you different attorneys, different practice areas to discuss your frequently asked questions. We monitor the website, we monitor Google, see what people are asking for this month, and a topic came up of brain injury, which could be horrific, but at the same time, not so easy to detect. So, Stephen, when you're in court fighting for the rights of victims of car accidents who claim to have brain injury, how do you even prove it to the jury? How do you prove it to the opposing party, to the insurance company? And how do you get the maximum compensation for such an injury?
Very interesting topic, Michael. We all have a brain, and most of the time our brains function properly. From a child, our brains teach us to do things, to see things, to hear things, to smell things, and all of our senses, and it regulates all of our body movements. When an accident happens with a vehicle, either a car, a motorcycle, a truck, a boat, or any other accident,
right?
Those vehicles are moving at a different speed, but it doesn't take a lot of speed to have an accident. And when the accident happens, the occupants of those vehicles sometimes get very severely injured.
Right.
It's easy to identify and to prove injuries by other means, such as MRIs for broken bones or for torn tissues, or from neck injuries or back injuries. But the brain itself is not quite so obvious. When someone is injured in an accident, the body is thrown around within that vehicle and either strikes something in the vehicle or gets shaken up to the point where there's some derangement in the neurons in the brain that don't come together. All right. Now, in order to justify or to identify that, number one, it is usually done by members of one's family or friends first, when they find that that person is having difficulty in either remembering things or not being able to walk a straight line or to recall things or think straight, or their speech may be impaired. Well, those are early symptoms, and that triggers a doctor or a group of doctors to come in and consult with that person. And usually an accident victim goes to an orthopedist. Well, the orthopedist deals with bone injuries and soft tissue injuries. The brain deals with another specialty called neurology, right? A neurologist has ways of testing electronically the signals coming out of the brain to monitor the functions of the body. And the neurologist is usually brought in when there's a significant identification that there might be a problem. We've seen football players in concussions on the football field. In baseball, people get hit with a baseball and they have concussions. Well, motor vehicle accidents, you have concussions also. And it's the same factor that happens. The brain becomes injured, and the injury is not quite apparent as another type of an orthopedic injury would be. So what happens is the doctors would conduct a test or tests to identify what the problem is, number one. And then they would put you through a series of physical therapy or programs, maybe test you electronically to test whether there's post-traumatic stress that's involved in something like that. We've all heard of PTSD. Soldiers have it. You know, veterans have it.
Yep.
People in accidents have the same thing. Now, when the brain is injured, it doesn't get treated as a regular injury would be. It's a long, drawn-out process that sometimes is successful, sometimes not successful. But what that does is, it's personal injury that we're dealing with here. And the brain has a way of controlling our emotions. So what happens is that somebody with brain injury goes through stress that we can't even imagine that they're going through. And that stress has to be identified by the medical community, by the psychiatrists or the psychologists who are experts in identifying what the problems are and in proving what those injuries have caused to that particular injured
Right.
person.
And Steven, you have in your office, you can refer a client to a specialist in brain injury so they can make a proper evaluation of their injury and give you a report that you can use to fight the insurance companies, correct?
Michael, that's our job.
Good.
That's our job, to represent the injured person. And to represent a person who's injured from an accident, they come into the office, and initially we contact the doctors that they're treating with, chiropractors or their orthopedist doctors, and then we discuss them. We get the medical records, and we read the histories. History is what the doctor says this person has sustained, and usually in the emergency room report that comes from the hospital, they identify that there is potential brain injury there, and then we will take that and contact expert board certified neurosurgeons or neurologists or psychologists or psychiatrists and refer that particular patient to that expert medical witness for treatment and consultation. And that's what makes us have proof of the injury. And if this case goes and is appropriately factored that way, if we do in fact have an opportunity early on to refer the patient or the patient's family, actually sometimes, to those particular experts, that expert comes in as a witness in our case, and then at the time we go to trial, that information goes to a jury if the case doesn't settle. And that jury makes the determination as to how badly injured that person is. That's the necessity of it.
Steve, you just perfectly explained to us, emphasized why it is so crucial to have an attorney that has experience in personal injury, because not only you know how to prosecute a case, but also you have the right contacts with other experts, other medical professionals who not only will help the client to get the medical help they need, but will also give you the right information that you can use as a weapon against the insurance companies and get the maximum compensation for somebody's injury. Steven, thank you so much. This concludes our session for today. I really appreciate it. I'm sure all of our viewers appreciate your time, your information, and useful insights. Today, we'll give you general information to educate you on what could be in a personal injury lawsuit. But if you have any specific questions about your case, you were just injured, or maybe you were injured 2 years ago, but you never put in a claim, maybe there's still time to put in a claim. For that, you have to go and get a consultation that is free from a personal injury attorney, such as Steven Zielinski of Counsel to Law Office of Herbert Lawrence. The phone number is on the bottom of the screen. Thank you and have a great day.
Thank you, Michael.
Thank you.